Good evening. It's Wednesday, April 1st. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and we are broadcasting remotely tonight. Historic moves during a historic time. We have major developments surrounding the coronavirus pandemic, some of it positive, but sadly some not. New numbers just in show 5 more people have died, all elderly, bringing the overall total to 15. And the number of cases spiking 115 for a total of 849. Governor Gavin Newsom also said today that schools will remain closed through the end of the academic year. We'll have more in just a few minutes. You've probably wondered just how many people have the COVID virus where you live. Tonight, we're going to break down the numbers by zip code and what health officials say it means. Here's KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
County health officials are now starting to show us coronavirus cases by zip code, and here in Hillcrest, they have the most with 57. Normally, the La Jolla Cove area is packed full of people, but right now, as you can see behind me, it is closed, and the La Jolla area actually has the second highest number of cases in the county by zip code, with 26 confirmed cases of coronavirus. The zip code with the third highest number of cases belongs to Normal Heights. There are 23 confirmed cases of coronavirus in this zip code. Now, I know some of you are saying, what about downtown? Isn't that like a densely packed area, a lot of people down there? Well, they're tied for fourth number of cases with 22. That's tied with North Park, also has 22 confirmed cases of coronavirus. So we know that all the zip codes that have the most cases are in the city of San Diego, but what else does that tell us?
I'm going to be honest. To me personally, that information does not mean very much.
County health officials say residents were asking them for the zip codes of where those who have tested positive live, and so this is them simply trying to be transparent.
This virus knows no zip code limitations. And so I do think that there is a potential prioritization by some communities and so forth in terms of having that data. Clinically, and I will say logistically, at least from my perspective as a clinician, it really doesn't make that big of a difference.
County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher added that not a lot of conclusions can be made from that zip code data.
We believe there are positive cases in every single zip code in San Diego County. Some areas may have greater access to health care and a doctor who can order that test, and we may have a little bit higher rate because of their access to testing. But if you live in a zip code that has a lot of positive tests, then what you ought to do is stay at home.
Health officials have said the likely number of cases is 10 times what is actually being reported. For a complete list of cases by zip code, go to kpbs.org. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
President Trump said to anticipate a very tough 2 weeks ahead as today Americans begin another month of social distancing to slow the spread of the coronavirus. The White House task force projects we could see between 100 and 240,000 deaths, despite at least 80% of Americans staying at home. More than 800 deaths were reported in the country on Tuesday. Karen Kaifa has details from Washington.
April 1st begins a new month in the U.S. coronavirus fight, with healthcare workers in the hardest hit states like New York already under strain.
Waking up in the morning and walking into the hospital can feel like walking into the fire.
Vice President Mike Pence, after touring a Walmart distribution center in Virginia working to send out food and supplies, said this month is critical.
Some of the early indications from states around the country is that what the American people have done so far in our first 15 days has made a real difference. But the next 2 weeks, the next 30 days are vital.
Social distancing guidelines are extended through at least April 30th. A peak in the nation's daily death toll is forecast mid-month. The majority of the nation's governors have issued stay-at-home orders, but in some states, like Florida, where such an order was declared to take effect Friday at 12:01 a.m., local officials acted first.
And I speak every day, and he supports the things that we're doing here. He knows that the things that we're doing here are important. We closed our beaches, we closed our parks, we closed all non-essential businesses, and we did that some time ago.
Vice President Pence said Wednesday a national stay-at-home order isn't necessary right now, and the administration is optimistic the nation could be back to business by early June. In Washington, Karen Kaifa, KPBS News.
Dozens of sailors aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt have COVID-19, and the numbers are expected to rise. The captain has asked the Navy for more resources, saying the number of infections aboard the ship would spiral if immediate action is not taken. The San Diego-based aircraft carrier is docked in Guam with a crew of more than 4,000. Our media partner KGTV spoke with the wife of a sailor who is on board. She's concerned that they aren't able to follow social distancing guidelines.
When I tell him, like, are you guys doing the 6 feet? He said, how can we do that in a ship? We cannot, like, because the space is not like, it's too tight.
An exact number of infected hasn't been revealed, but today the Navy said it was less than 100. The Navy has started moving sailors off the ship and plan to move 2,700 off in the next day. 3 crew members and 1 passenger that were aboard a cruise ship that docked in San Diego this week have tested positive for the coronavirus. Thousands of passengers disembarked from the Celebrity Eclipse before the test results came. Royal Caribbean, which owns Celebrity, says no guest or crew members reported symptoms while sailing. Passengers have been told to self-isolate when they get home. Apart from the sobering facts and figures, Governor Newsom also had some good news for the state's students and the parents that are now teaching them. KPBS reporter John Carroll has the latest.
Governor Newsom started with the numbers, specifically the number of people who are now in ICU being treated for COVID-19, 774, a 16.5% jump from yesterday.
That's the number I wake up to that I'm most focused on as governor of the state of California. The number of people in ICU and the number of people hospitalized in the state of California. It is incumbent that we prepare for a surge in the number of hospitalizations and the number of ICU patients.
Overall, Newsom says the state is preparing for a 2/3 increase in hospital bed capacity. More hopeful news came in the form of advancements being made in the remote education of students across the state. Newsom announced a partnership with Google that will provide 100,000 access points to broadband across California. Plus, the company is giving 3 months free access, and they're providing thousands of Chromebook computers to students who don't have a computer. Newsom then got personal when it comes to what parents are going through right now.
Let me just express deep respect and empathy, and particularly for mothers. And let me just say this openly. I try to do my part as a parent, but my wife does an heroic amount of work. And the pressure that we have placed now, additional pressure on caregivers and parents, particularly women and moms, is extraordinary.
Today I'm honored to join with the county and Rock Church to be part of this inspiring collaboration to help.
The county's daily news conference began with the announcement of a partnership between the county, the Rock Church, and Rady Children's Hospital. The groups will coordinate the donation of masks and other personal protective equipment to first responders. Supervisor Nathan Fletcher announced 115 new cases today, bringing the total countywide to 849. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Nick Efantides says 5 more people have died of coronavirus in the county, bringing that total to 15. Those numbers gave extra urgency to the main message from Supervisor Fletcher.
The month of April is the month that will determine our trajectory as a region. We believe this is the month that will determine if we end up like Italy and New York, or if we find ourselves through a better pathway and a better direction. And so the month of April, we are calling it for it to be a month of aggressive, intentional action.
The numbers from both the governor and the county show that comparatively early action taken locally and statewide has provided the opportunity to stay ahead of the coming surge in cases, but only if we all continue to do our part. John Carroll, KPBS News.
An ongoing lawsuit against the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation has argued the state's prisons are overcrowded and the prisoner population needs to be reduced. A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. PBS reporter Claire Tregeser says the coronavirus pandemic is giving new urgency to the suit.
Lawyers for California prison inmates have filed additional motions asking that prisoners who would be released in the next year be freed immediately to prevent the spread of the virus. On Tuesday, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation announced it's letting out 3,500 inmates, but all of them were scheduled to be released in the next 60 days anyway. Allison Hardy, an attorney for Prison Law Office, says while that's a step in the right direction, it's not enough.
We are hopeful that we can persuade the judges that the only way to avert disaster, both inside the prison walls and in the communities where those prisons are located, is to bring the population density down so that people in prison can also observe the kind of safety measures that the rest of us are all observing around the country.
Hardy says just under half of the 122,000 California inmates live in dormitories that house 10 to 100 people.
So while the rest of us in the country are not allowed to congregate in groups larger than 10, people in the prison have no choice other than to live with scores of people. In many cases, their beds are within arm's length of each other.
As of 5 p.m. Tuesday, there were 25 California prison employees who had tested positive for COVID-19 and 8 inmates. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
In a historic move, the San Diego Convention Center is now being used as a homeless shelter. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says officials hope to prevent an explosion of coronavirus cases among the county's most vulnerable.
San Diego began moving residents of 2 city homeless shelters into the convention center Wednesday morning. They'll have access to showers, meals, laundry services, and health screenings. And they'll have enough space to enable social distancing, lowering the risk of COVID-19 spreading rapidly among this particularly vulnerable population.
Yesterday, the county announced the unfortunate reality that 3 of our unsheltered San Diegans have tested positive. And we know there will be more. That's why we need the shelter, and we have all of our partners working together across the region to help our homeless neighbors.
The county has also secured more than 2,000 hotel and motel rooms for people who need to self-isolate but don't have a home where they can do so safely. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
And today, Mayor Faulkner also offered all available vacant city properties to accommodate the expected surge in COVID-19 patients. An empty UC San Diego dorm may be converted into a care center to help with a looming hospital bed shortage. County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says the dorm would be staffed with doctors and nurses.
This would be for individuals presently in the hospital who are too sick to go home, but don't need to stay in the hospital. If we can create new rooms, we can transfer those folks there.
And county projections show the region's 7,000 hospital beds could be full by mid-April. If residents stay at home and follow social distancing, the hospitals won't run out of space until mid-May. You can find more on this story at inewssource.org. With schools across the country closed, the University of California system is easing admissions requirements at all 9 campuses, including UC San Diego. SAT scores will not be required for fall 2021 freshmen. Letter grade requirements for courses completed during the 2020 school year will be suspended. University of California President Janet Napolitano says this flexibility is crucial for giving students a fair shot in a time when the pandemic is disrupting so many lives. San Diegans are generally behaving themselves and following orders to stay at home during the outbreak. That's according to the San Diego Police Department. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser has an update on how police are enforcing the city's new rules.
Police have not issued any citations for people violating stay-at-home orders, including people using parks and beaches that are closed. There are also no reports of increased lawlessness, people speeding, driving through red lights, or otherwise driving recklessly. Overall, calls for service are down. Police have responded to calls reporting non-essential businesses are open. They've told store owners they need to close, and the owners have listened. Officers are working to enforce new rules while trying not to come down with the coronavirus. 2 officers have tested positive so far.
Training about infectious diseases and how to handle individuals that have infectious diseases, is done early on in the police academy. And so throughout our career as officers, we generally practice good safety practices.
Recently, the department gave officers on patrol extra equipment to help.
We also are supplying all of our officers who are working with an extra, what we're calling kind of a go kit. And in that kit, it includes extra gloves. It also includes hand sanitizer. It includes safety goggles, and it includes an N95 mask. And we've given guidelines to officers as to when to use that equipment. And generally, it's when officers cannot socially distance themselves or keep that 6-foot distance when contacting individuals who are displaying flu-like symptoms.
The police academy is also closing down for at least 2 weeks. That means the 185 recruits who were scheduled to graduate this May and August will be delayed. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
After thousands of beachgoers flocked to one of the 2 remaining open beaches over the weekend, Coronado City Council has decided to close its beaches on Saturday and Sunday. The City Council voted to keep the beaches open during the week. Other changes include installing hand sanitizing stations at beach entrances, removing a dog washing station, and prohibiting public parking along the west side of Ocean Boulevard. The new closure comes after Coronado's police and fire chiefs argued that unrestricted beach access put first responders at risk of exposure to COVID-19. Oceanside's beaches still remain open. What will remain open? Gun stores. The guidelines were issued by the Department of Homeland Security classifying stores at the sell guns and ammo as essential services. San Diego County Sheriff Bill Gore said last week that he would not shut down county gun stores, saying he was concerned it would push people to buy guns on the black market. As the number of coronavirus cases have gone up, so too have gun sales. We're following all of the latest coronavirus developments for you at kpbs.org. Click on the Tracking COVID-19 link on our homepage, and you'll be taken to a page with all of our recent reports. You can find that right now at kpbs.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, another dark milestone. The U.S. death toll jumps beyond 4,500. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Despite the coronavirus pandemic, the 2020 census is rolling along, and today is National Census Day. Participating is something you can easily do from home. Just fill out and return the census form you received in the mail. You can also do it online or by phone. Those who do not respond should expect a door-to-door visit from a census worker in the coming months. We're expecting more cloudy skies and cooler temperatures tomorrow. Marvin Gomez has our forecast.
Hope you're having an excellent Wednesday so far, and thanks for staying with us here on KPBS News. I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez, and here are your weather highlights. We have that deep marine layer that's going to be with us tonight, bringing some of those low clouds not only for the coast, but also for some of the valleys. For your Thursday, we're anticipating some very gusty winds across the mountains and also for the deserts. Friday, overall, temperatures a little warm, but as we head into the weekend, we have that onshore flow that's going to be strong, and it's going to bring cooler temperatures for all of us across Southern California. Take a look at our radar and satellite in the last couple of hours. Not a whole lot of action. It's been a dry day for most of the state, and heading into tonight, we are going to have those clouds coming back across Chula Vista, San Diego, and for Oceanside as well. Temperatures out there are going to be in the upper 50s. Ramona, 50 degrees for tonight. Mount Laguna, you're cooling down to 45 degrees. Here's your Thursday. Notice how dry conditions will continue for most of the day, not only across the southwest near the Four Corners, but for most of California, dry weather is expected. Now, as we look at your temperature highs for the afternoon hours, looking at Escondido, near 68 degrees. Ramona coming up to 66 and 67 degrees in San Diego. Your AccuWeather forecast along the coast indicating just a quiet weather pattern from now until Sunday. There could be a couple of showers Sunday morning and more wet weather into your Monday. We have a storm system that's really going to give us some of that wet weather for parts of Sunday, but especially into your Monday inland areas as well. A little bit cooler for the weekend. Across the high terrain in the mountains, we're in the upper mid 50s, I should say, for your Thursday Thursday and Friday, 51 Saturday, 46 into your Sunday with some colder temperatures for your Monday and a little bit of rain. Into the deserts, we're dealing with mostly sunny skies for most of the next couple of days. More clouds for your Sunday, and it will not be until your Monday that those temperatures only will be in the upper 60s, and we're going to have some wet weather out there.
For the first time since World War II, Wimbledon is canceled. The tennis tournament was set to start on June 29th, but with the rise of confirmed cases of COVID-19 and the lockdown in the UK, the event will not be happening at all this year. Another tournament, the French Open, has been pushed until September. It's draining and sometimes heartbreaking work for healthcare workers on the front lines of this pandemic. Erica Hill spoke with a doctor who launched a project on Instagram to show how hospitals are coping.
In emergency rooms across the country, the battle being waged is unlike any these doctors have seen.
Right now, it's kind of like drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Dr. Stefan Flores is an emergency room physician in New York City, the epicenter of this pandemic.
It's been very overwhelming and stressful. Pretty much everyone that we see has corona, some flavor of corona.
With each approaching siren, congestion in the ER grows. They need more beds, more gear. They need to stay healthy. They need more information.
I had so many friends, family, and colleagues reach out to me from across the world and be like, "Oh my God, are you okay? What is actually going on over there?"
In response, Dr. Flores and a fellow emergency physician, Dr. Lin Jiang, launched Air It Out COVID-19 on Instagram and encouraged others to join in.
It's been therapeutic and also I think just helpful to let everyone know what is going on. And it's not just here in New York, but we've also been trying to chronicle and get snapshots of what's been going on across the country.
Snapshots of life in the ER. Your eyes tell it all. A window to the war you've been through, reads this post. Sometimes we just look at each other through our masks, and we know what each other is feeling. Sometimes we just let each other know we're okay. Crowded ambulance bays. A seemingly endless stream of patients. Tents to help alleviate the strain inside. Each image a personal story. Our healthcare workforce is more than just our doctors and nurses, reads this post about our fearless EMTs.
We need to recognize that paramedics and EMTs who are also out there risking their lives with the lack of personal protective equipment, who are obviously seeing things that might not even make it to the emergency room.
Everywhere I look, someone is being intubated. Someone is dying, the staffer writes. I am someone who wants to hold their hand, to whisper in their ear, to say, you are not alone, but knows it is a risk not only for myself, but also for others. Moments like this one define how much has changed in just a few short weeks.
I wanted to console her, sit at the bedside, put my hand on her and let her know that it would be okay. I couldn't touch her. I had to don my personal protective equipment and kind of keep my distance. At that moment, I almost felt kind of helpless.
And yet, there are still reasons to hope. New York cheering the city's healthcare workers. This brought tears to my eyes, wrote one local nurse. The signs of support, encouragement, and deep appreciation are the silver lining. These moments of positivity and gratitude keep us going.
It's a frightening time to be working, in the emergency room and just to be working in the hospital in general. But that being said, if there was any time probably to validate and reinforce why we chose to go into medicine, it's now.
A determination to push forward for as long as they're needed.
And that was Erica Hill reporting. Are you feeling under the weather but not sure whether to go to the doctor? As Mandy Gaither shows us, there's now an app that could help.
You can now do a health screening from your computer or the palm of your hand. Apple has teamed up with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to push out a new app and website. The company says it's a screening tool to help users decide what to do if they find themselves feeling sick. The website and app ask a series of questions, including information on your symptoms, whether you've traveled recently, and it questions your potential exposure to COVID-19. Then a recommendation is made on what to do next. Information about the virus and who should be tested is also provided. The company says you do not require an Apple account to use the new tool. Google has also launched a nationwide educational website with information on COVID-19 as well. It has safety and prevention tips with links to the CDC website and provides data on areas affected by the novel coronavirus. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The San Diego Zoo Safari Park is closed, but now you can take a virtual tour of the butterfly jungle. The park launched a webcam where you can see thousands of butterflies, plants, and 22 exotic bird species. You can also learn about the park's conservation efforts and how these colorful insects play an important role as pollinators for native plants.
The butterflies feed on a lot of these flowers you see behind me today. The butterflies feed on the nectar. And there's not enough light here in Hidden Jungle for it to continue on, so we're bringing new food sources for them twice a week.
And to check out the butterfly jungle, go to sdzoosafaripark.org and look for the Camp button. An update now on our top story. New developments in the coronavirus pandemic. County health officials announced 5 more people have died, bringing the overall total to 15. And the number of cases spiking 115 for a total of 849. Governor Gavin Newsom also said today that schools will remain closed through the end of the academic year. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us for this remote broadcast. Stay well and good night.